Welcome to Spirited Investigations and welcome to Maryland's Haunted History. This list of 10 is part of a playlist of gentle listening spooky collections from across the USA. The screen fades to black so you can enjoy the stories without distractions. Please do consider a like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. First, in Chestertown, Maryland, is the Old St. Paul's Cemetery. The cemetery dates back to the 1700s and is said to be paranormally active on a regular basis. Some reports may be because of the Battle of Culp's Field during the War of 1812, after which many casualties of the battle were buried in St. Paul's. Graves belonging to both Confederate and Union soldiers are there, bringing several hauntings from both sides to the area and the cemetery, such as the ghost of Tench Tilghman, who is seen at the bridge on the edge of the cemetery. He was an officer during the Revolutionary War, and on especially dark nights, people claim to see his lantern swinging on that bridge too. The most famous grave at the cemetery with paranormal activity is that of actress Tallulah Bankhead. People claim you can hear a raspy voice if you lay on the slab that covers her grave. At number 2 is the Maryland State House in Annapolis. One of the more well-known haunted attractions in Maryland, the Maryland State House is said to house several spirits. The most famous of all the hauntings and legends involves Thomas Dance. Dance served as a plasterer who worked on updating the structure's dome, and while working, fell 87 feet to his death on the marble floor below. Many have reported spotting a figure that looks very similar to him. The figure is seen at the top of the dome, dressed in colonial garb and smoking a pipe. He's often blamed for lights flashing on and off and cold air breezes in the State House. One room is famous for being where President George Washington resigned in 1783, ending the Revolutionary War and beginning the United States of America. That room is said to be haunted by an unknown spirit. Several locals have also reported seeing a Revolutionary soldier on the grounds. Third on our list is the Antietam Battlefield in Sharpsburg. Antietam Battlefield is where the bloodiest Civil War battle took place. Just over 23,000 men were killed, wounded, or went missing. Therefore, it is no surprise that reports of ghoulish soldiers and the faint smell of gunpowder have been reported there. It's a site that bears the scars of one of the bloodiest battles in American history. On September 17, 1862, the Confederate Army under General Robert E. Lee fought the Union Army led by General George McClellan in a day-long battle, resulting in those 23,000 casualties. The battlefield itself is marked by several significant locations, such as Bloody Lane, the cornfield, and a stone bridge over Antietam Creek, where some of the most intense fighting took place. Visitors to the site often report eerie experiences, such as the sensation of being watched, of hearing phantom gunshots and drumming, and of seeing apparitions of soldiers. At number 4 is Fletchertown Road in Bowie, where it's said the Goat Man lurks. According to stories, the Goat Man escaped from the Department of Agriculture's research centre. As the name suggests, he's supposedly half human, half animal. The urban legend goes on to say that during the 1950s and 1960s, the Goat Man murdered people who travelled along the road with an axe. After murdering them, he would eat his victims. To this day, people claim to have seen the head of a goat or a man in tattered clothing in the area. Halfway through the list, we have the Baltimore County Almshouse in Cockeysville. When the Baltimore County Almshouse opened in 1874, it was to serve as a home for the elderly, the mentally unwell, the indigent, and children. An addition was made to the almshouse which housed prisoners. People who have spent any time at the almshouse have made claims of assorted paranormal activity. Some people claim that if you visit the 3rd floor, you may hear the voices of women talking. It's said that the sound of children playing can be heard outside and inside, and sometimes faces can be seen in the windows. Many people believe that one of the ghosts who continues to haunt the almshouse is that of Anthony Rose. He was an old man of 75 who lived there and who died when he fell to his death down an elevator shaft. At number 6 is Point Lookout Lighthouse in Scotland, Maryland, which has served a number of purposes extra to flashing a light to sailors. Built in 1830, it's been a prisoner of war camp, a hospital during the Civil War era, a hotel that got destroyed by a fire, and a lookout point during the Revolutionary War. Now, Point Lookout Lighthouse is known for its spooky happenings, including apparition sightings, sudden temperature drops throughout the rooms, and various voices captured via recordings. A man in Civil War era clothing is one of the most frequently seen ghosts. He is said to be in horrible physical shape and smells of gunpowder and mildew. It's believed he was attempting to free himself from the smallpox unit that once stood in the area. Another ghost is that of an elderly woman who appears to be looking for something on the beach. That something is said to be her gravestone. At spot number 7 is the Union Hotel Restaurant in Port Deposit. Opened for business in 1790, there is a tale here of a ghostly lady in blue who has been spotted by customers and employees. A dormant clock on a shelf has been known to chime, even though it contains no clockworks to even operate at all. Waiting staff have witnessed a cedar box slide on its own along the mantel it's been placed on. Doors often unlock and open with no one nearby. Footsteps are heard throughout the building, even when only 1 or 2 employees are present. At number 8 is the Jonathan Hagar House Museum, which is also known as Hagar's Fancy. It's a historic landmark in Hagerstown, Maryland, with a history dating back to the mid-18th century. The house was built by Jonathan Hagar, a German immigrant who founded Hagerstown, and it served as a residence, trading post and frontier fort. Over the years, the house changed hands several times, eventually falling into disrepair before being restored and deeded to the city. It's said to be home to at least 13 ghosts. Over the decades, curators and tour guides have reported a variety of paranormal experiences, including disembodied voices, objects moving on their own, and the sound of footsteps and heavy objects being dragged across the stone floor in the cellar. The nursery is particularly active, with a rocking chair and cradle that move on their own. Visitors have reported seeing several apparitions, including a little girl who shows herself mostly to women. A lady in green is often seen looking out of the window, or as a flash of green in the hall, and there's a man in black who has been spotted both around the house and elsewhere. For number 9, the historic Sotterley Plantation was built along the Patuxent River back in the 18th century and is currently the oldest surviving plantation in southern Maryland. While it was a private residence for a number of wealthy families through the years, it's now a public space. Staff and visitors have all reported strange happenings on the grounds, like lights flickering on and off. Strange noises can be heard throughout the house, and breakfast smells waft up from the kitchen when no one is cooking. One of the more menacing ghosts that lives on Sotterley Plantation is a former owner who still haunts the grounds. His spirit is notorious for throwing people down the staircase that he doesn't like. Finally, when German immigrants settled in western Maryland in the 1700s, they brought with them the terrifying lore of the snallygaster. This half-bird, half-reptile swoops down from the skies to hunt livestock and small children. The carnivorous creature allegedly has a 25-foot wingspan and deadly talons that glow like hot metal. Some have claimed to have seen a blazing red third eye in the middle of its forehead, razor-sharp teeth, and octopus-like tentacles. Witnesses have claimed the snallygaster cries like a baby and screams like a woman, implying it may resort to mimicry to lure potential victims into its grasp. Thank you for joining us on this little journey. From clocks with no clockworks to huge mythical creatures, Maryland certainly has some fun tales from within the state. I hope you'll be here for the next one.